Welcome everyone to Widows Wednesday. And today, my friends, oh my goodness, what a testimony you are about to hear. This video may be a little long, I'm not even sure yet, but I encourage you to get your tea and join in and just be amazed at what God has done in this wonderful life. It's amazing, amazing. And so our guest today is Julie Kirby Kemp. Hey, Julie.
Hello.
So Julie and we've been actually chit-chatting for a few years now, since 2018, right, Julie? It was that long ago. You were giving me, I know we went back and forth. We were talking about publishers and all this sort of stuff about our books and all that sort of thing. And I remember asking you questions and you giving me pointers, and we were going back and forth on things. And so I really appreciated your advice, when we went through that. But I read her story, and you guys, I'm going to have the link in the bottom little drop down. But this is Julie's book. It is called Faith Has Its Reasons. And absolutely amazing, amazing testimony. And so we're going to be, I was telling Julie, I love it when it almost looks, Julie, like we're in the same room. That's kind of crazy. Hi, my friend.
How did you get to North Carolina?
Yeah. So I'm going to show you pictures from her book as we're talking and sharing, and just having a conversation. Okay. So, okay, Julie, it's 1997. You're leaving church. You went to church like you normally would every Sunday. Go to church with you. And who was with you?
It was me and my husband and our son. His name was Landon, and he was 8 years old at the time.
Okay. And your husband's name is
Andy,
right? Andy? Right. Okay. So you leave church.
We leave church. It's a typical Sunday like we always do. And we were almost home when we were going through an intersection. And at the intersection, we were T-boned by an ambulance. And the ambulance hit my husband's side. And being an ambulance driver himself, was the one who had called 911. And so when all of the workers got there, they were working on my husband first because he did take the impact. And then they were trying to get me out of the vehicle. And when they were trying to get me out of the vehicle, they saw Landon's shoe. And when they saw the shoe was when it deepened the search to find the little body that matched those shoes. But because of all the impact, the way the ambulance, it had pushed Andy's seat over Landon, and they couldn't see him under his dad's seat.
They couldn't even see.
They couldn't see. They
couldn't see him. So I would like to show you the pictures that are in her book of the ambulance and their vehicle. So this is the ambulance, and this is their vehicle. And, it is just looking at this is just devastating. Like, I've driven by scenes like this, and I've thought, there's no way that this person has survived. There's just no way. And this is the case with your husband, correct?
Correct. He, they were working on him, and he didn't instantly die at impact, but he never made it to the hospital.
He never made it to the hospital.
He never made it alive.
Okay. So I want to show the picture here of, this is you and Andy, and this is at a wedding, is it?
Yes, that was at a wedding. It was my brother's wedding. And that is the last family photo of the three of us.
Wow.
Mhm.
Now, your husband was a Christian.
Yes.
He loved the Lord.
Yes.
You know, it's hard to fathom why this would be okay. This event seems absolutely, this should never, ever, ever, ever happen. You know, when you look at things like this and you say, Lord, I'm a Christian. Why should this happen to me? Why
Mhm.
should this happen to him? Why should this happen to our son? You know, these questions, you can't help but ask these questions. Why, God, is this, you know, and I liked what you said in the book about, hey, where was my angel that day? You know, like what the
Mhm.
heck happened?
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
what was he on vacation? I mean, what happened?
Yep.
They're supposed to be there to protect what's going on.
Mhm.
And, you know, because we can't see into the future, we don't know what's coming down the road. You know, I don't mean physically, I mean, you know,
Right.
years down the road,
Life's road. Yeah.
life's road. We don't know what's coming. And, but God does. And even though, yes, this is, you know, extremely tragic event here, God has turned it around in your life to bring good, you know, and but before we get to all of that, you're a wee one now. He's 8 years old in the accident
Right.
happened.
Mhm.
And so you wrote something in there too I found interesting, that your son and your husband didn't have any broken bones. That's quite amazing after
I know.
looking at that. How is that even possible?
I know.
You're the one who got the broken bones,
Right.
right?
Right.
Your all of your ribs or a portion of your
Mhm.
ribs
Mhm. All of my ribs were broken.
broken.
My left arm was broken, and I've got a metal rod in it now. I
Mhm.
had a concussion and collapsed lungs, and so theirs was all to their head.
Theirs, both of theirs was to their head, and
Yes.
yours was to your frame.
Right.
Okay. And so here we have Landon. I'll show you this one. Oh my goodness gracious, did you look at this baby? You know, these must be heart-wrenching to look at sometimes, huh? Looking back.
It
Like
is.
a different world, or is it like, oh my God, I remember that. I never want to go back.
It is. It's great, because of where he's at now, but all that he went through,
So
because
much.
where we were just at, when they were looking for, the little body that matched the shoe, they had to get him through the trunk and, to bring him out through the trunk. And so, when they did bring him out, he was not breathing. And so they had to start working on him to,
Now you didn't know that this was going on, right? They were
no,
working
mm-mm.
on them. You didn't know what was happening.
No, they
And they
removed me and they kept me behind another emergency vehicle so I couldn't see what was happening.
right. And then you ended up in different hospitals, right? From your son.
Um, Landon and I went to the same hospital. They took Andy by ambulance to a different hospital. And so while Landon and I were being airlifted, I was thinking, that Andy was okay because he was a big man and, he was healthy and fit. And, so in my mind, I was thinking that he was.
Oh, we froze. This happens sometimes. So let me see if I can't fix that. There we go.
Okay. So I just, thought that if he would hurt worse, that he would have been airlifted with us. And so while
You're
we were,
rationalizing in your head where he
right,
is, what's going on with him, so you're not too concerned about him.
I'm not worried
And
about him. But when I was there in the chopper is when Landon died the second time, while we were being airlifted. And, but it was really quick. They were there, they were equipped and, they brought him back, but they were working on him.
so your son dies a total of 3 times, correct?
Yes. He died the third time. Once we did get to Carolina's Medical Center, they rushed him to the neurotrauma intensive care unit, and that's when he died the third time.
You
And they
know,
thought the longest time because they had such a hard time bringing him back.
it's I you hear this story and I'm thinking, God, I praise you for people who want to do these jobs for a living. Like,
Yes,
it's no
yes,
joke. I couldn't,
yes,
this would be so traumatic to me to see this and try to save this little life and try to, like, I would really struggle with that job, you
right.
know.
Yes,
I have to type something or whatever, but the life and death thing that's off the charts for me. So you know what? If that's what you do, ladies and
yes.
gentlemen,
Thank you.
that's absolute.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I
yes.
mean,
There's not enough thank yous
incredible.
for what.
There's not,
Mhm.
no. Um, okay, so now can you explain this picture? This is also another picture of Landon here. And thank you for putting the pictures in because we were sharing that, I'm a visual person and I like the backstory and I like to find out, what did they look like or what was this and what was this, and that helps me to process and hang on to the story a little bit more. But um, this little picture here,
Yeah, that sad little picture. This was right after Landon had his surgery. He had been in a coma and for 19 days. And they weren't seeing anything, no signs, good or bad. And
19
so
days.
they cut him up from ear
Wow.
to ear, and they had drains and tubes, and they were straining the blood from building up, but they had to take the back part of his skull to use to rebuild his forehead and part of his nose. And so he has metal plates in his forehead, but also with part of his skull. And so he is recuperating in that picture from the surgery. And they've still told me that, it's not likely for him to live, that if he does live, that he would be just like a baby. So, they're not giving me any hope.
You know, I saw that scar and it reminded me of Daryl's scar because he had that as well. Like they cut, when they cut open your head, they it looks like the same surgical steel, they're
The metal
almost
plate, yeah, staples.
staples,
Mhm.
right? You're thinking, my gosh, they've stapled his head. Like,
I know, I
it,
know.
it's quite dramatic to see it, like,
Mhm.
my gracious me. So he goes through 19 days and they tell you not to talk to him.
They
How
tell us
hard was
not
that?
to, well, we could talk to him, but we couldn't say anything negative to upset him.
Okay.
And so it was like, people came to visit, you couldn't get emotional, you couldn't say anything that, because they say that hearing is usually the last, sense that they lose. And so we had to be very, very careful so that he wouldn't hear anything and be upset.
Wow. So there's hope, right? He finally comes out of
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And when he's out of it a little bit more, there's a little line in there that he says what he wants. Um, oh no, that what he tells you he saw.
Yes. Yes. Well,
What he tells you he saw. Now he dies 3 times, you guys.
he
Where
dies
do you
three
think,
times.
right? Where do you think he's gone while he's not here? Hmm.
I know, I know. He's
Julie,
amazing.
amazing.
He was in the coma, and just like anybody else, not that it's a common thing that you all do, but when you're praying for someone, you always are looking at their eyes for their eyes to open.
Right.
And so I just, kept praying. He had beautiful blue eyes. God, is he going to have the same beautiful eyes? And I just didn't know what was going to be behind those eyes. And so I just kept staring at him all day, waiting for one of them to open. But the first thing that he did to let me know that he was coming out of the coma was not open his eyes. There were times when his body would twitch, but
And
he had
like,
a
oh,
really, yeah. And so I'd get excited and they would tell me,
that,
no, that wasn't, him. It was
that's a
just his
normal
body.
twitch.
Yeah. And but he popped his knuckles, and he had a really bad habit of popping his knuckles.
So
And
did my gal. He popped his knuckles too. I don't know how he did it. He would,
yes, yes, it's just a habit they have, and whatever. And so that was the first thing that Landon did to let me know that he was coming out of the coma. And so I was excited. I called the nurse, and of course they all come in there, and then he didn't do it when everyone was watching him to do it. But they they called all the SWAT team in there, and they started just exercising him and moving him, stimulation. And so
wow.
he did, start opening his eyes and recognizing and things. And they moved him eventually up to the rehab. And they pushed him hard. You think, he's died three
So
times and he was in a coma, that they're going to let him rest. But
no.
no, they push fast and they push hard and all of that. And so we had all these different rehab appointments, speech, occupational, and
We had
all
all that
the,
for Daryl at the
yeah,
house. We were talking about this earlier, the brain is an amazing
yes,
organ in your body here, this brain. So it, when I remember when Daryl, because we had all of that, they are afraid that you're not going to know how to swallow
right.
properly. You
Yep.
have this one cup that only lets out 1 ounce or one, whatever it is at a time, and relearning different things, and I felt like, here's my 6'2", 200-pound husband, like he's like a toddler,
Right.
trying
Yeah.
to be fed and trying to learn how to this and this and this. And I'm sure that was sort of the same with you, like
Oh,
you're
yes.
training your
Hmm.
8-year-old to, like he's a little baby,
Hmm.
to come back. And the brain is interesting because from what I understand, if there's damage somewhere, it reroutes,
Right. Hmm.
it reroutes
Hmm. Hmm.
till it gets it,
Hmm.
and that, what a blessing that is.
I know. I know. I know.
Oh, good
It's
God, he didn't
amazing.
allow that to even happen.
Hmm.
So he comes out of it and he says to you, oh yeah, by the way, mom.
Yeah. Yeah. He was on his way out to go to one of his rehab things. And that's exactly what he said. He says, "Oh, mom, by the way."
Oh, hold on, it's frozen again. Oh my gosh. Okay, I guess I have to keep tapping it. I'm not sure why it's doing it, but go ahead, sorry.
It's technology. But yeah, that's what he said. He just, "Oh, by the way, mom, I saw your other two kids." And then he leaves me hanging. He goes off to rehab and
What?
just leaves me hanging. Yeah.
Oh my, Julie, you must have been like, wait, what did you just say?
Well, I did. It was like, and I had never ever put the piece together about my husband being in heaven with our other two babies until he said that. I mean, there was so much going on, like I had to check myself out of the hospital to attend his funeral, and making all these decisions with Landon. And, it's like I had never connected that until he said it. And, so as sad as it was gave me a little bit of excitement or hope, knowing that, Andy was with him and he was taking care of him.
Oh my gosh, how beautiful is that? Now, another thing, I keep saying, we have these little threads that go through your story and my story. And one of those threads is that I also had a miscarriage. And so when it was after Ricky, and the baby wasn't old enough to, like, you wouldn't know what it was or anything, but you could see the little bump on the left side. And so my Daryl said, patted it, patted the little bump and called her Jenna. Okay, our baby's not even like, what, 3 months old or 4 months old, whatever. This cannot be happening.
Mhm.
But then, I ended up losing that baby. And so now I'm like, he says, well, I'm going to get to heaven first. And then, I'm
Yeah,
play with her and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what?
I
And so
know.
I read that with yours and I thought, this is insane.
I know.
Insane. Oh my gosh. So now he's getting better. And oh, I love the story where you said about so his Sunday school project before the accident.
Yeah, he was in a Christian school, and it was, right before our accident, and the teacher had given them an assignment, and it was like, for them to draw what they thought heaven looked like. And so Landon had drawn what he thought heaven would look like, and he had, um, yeah, you got it. There you
I got
go.
it, honey. All right, I'm trying to see. Let me see if I can see this. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Look
his
at
mansion, and that's his streets of gold, and the pearly
that.
gates. And so he put a tree in his heaven because he knew that he and his dad were going to be deer hunting in heaven. So that's what his tree is. And so you've got it pulled up there. The verse from Matthew, if you want to share that.
It's on the tree. The verse from Matthew. Which one? Where?
Yeah, it's on the picture from heaven.
Oh,
If
oh,
it,
right in front of my face. Hello. Okay. It says, but seek first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness. How cute he spells righteous. And all these things shall be added unto you.
Mhm.
Matthew.
Yeah, he had just written that. That was right before our accident.
Just
It
before.
was hanging in the classroom. Yeah.
And little did he know, right, that he was going to have his own little heavenly experience. And
Uh,
now Landon's name,
mm-hmm.
right, is
Right.
so cute because of the little heavenly dress. That's adorable. Absolutely adorable. You want to share where he got his name from?
Sure. Well, we, like all parents, you have a hard time trying to pick out the name. A lot like to do family names or biblical names or, just different things. And so we were just having a hard time picking out a name for Landon. And at the time, I was watching my favorite show, and it was Highway to Heaven, starring Michael Landon. And so that's
Adorable.
how we got Landon. That's who he was named after from me watching that show.
Perfect name. It's
Yes.
perfect, you know. Oh my gosh. And only God knew. So now Landon, he visits heaven 3 times. And
Mhm.
the question's going to be, who does he see? What does he see? And does he see his dad? Does he see Jesus? What is he hearing? Does he smell anything? Does he taste anything? Like all these different questions. What's happened and what was his experience in heaven?
Well, as he came out of, the Coleman rehab and everything, he told me bits and pieces. He didn't just come out and tell me the whole story. So it was a process.
Coming back to his mind.
Yes, and he would see things that would trigger it. And he's like, "Oh, by the way," or like everybody does this, like I knew what he experienced, or like I was, yeah, I don't know. And so he was nonchalant about it when I was asking him all these questions. But the first time that he died was at the scene of our accident, and he doesn't remember anything about that day on earth. He doesn't remember. He remembers everything up to that, but not that day. But he does know the first time that he went to heaven that he did see his dad. And one of his dad's best friends had died just a couple of months before our accident, also in a car wreck.
Oh my,
And his son had died a few years before that in an four-wheeler accident,
oh my
and
gosh.
he had brain trauma. So there was two boys there with brain trauma, with both of their dads there who had died in car wrecks. And so the four of them were together the first time that he died.
Well, did he get to hug him or
He just remembers being there with him.
yeah.
He says like they were, sometimes he says like in a squirk or a chair, they were just right there together.
Hmm. That's that is amazing. And what comfort that brings too. Later
Mhm.
on, you're like, oh my gosh, I know where my husband is.
Right,
I know where
right.
he is. Lord, he's with you. This is amazing stuff. Um, and I love that. when Landon goes, now he's well enough to go back to school, is it? That
Mhm.
all the kids, when he had to shave his head, right? Because he had another,
Had his head shaved, yes, obviously, and
as it
so,
2 years go on, or 1 year, right? Later.
no, he went back to school actually, the same year. It was just a week before they broke for the Christmas break.
Wow.
And yeah, and so they had a dress code, and so I called and asked, can he please wear a hat? Just because of the scars on his head, not having hair and everything. And so I just called the school and asked if he could wear a hat. And when we took him in, I wanted to walk him up. He knew where his classroom was and all of that. But I just wanted to walk in with him, to talk with the teacher and just, whatever questions that she may have for me. And when I went into the classroom, every single child in there had on a hat.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. Gosh. And again, the thread. Daryl's friends all shaved their heads.
Mm-hmm.
Really, this camaraderie,
Love.
this coming together, it does something for the human soul, to
Mm-hmm.
know that, hey, I'm not alone here. And look, people care about me, people love me, and they're willing to come alongside and do that uncomfortable thing,
Right,
shave
right,
your head, or, you know, um, wear hats or whatever it is, they want to know that they're with you,
right,
you're not alone.
right, right.
That's just beautiful. And I know, so as a mom, it's not easy. Yeah, your mind must have been like out of control, like, oh my gosh, she's not with me and I'm seeing what's going on. I read some of your story here. Okay. Girls' weekend. And also panic attacks.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
a girls' weekend, you want to get away, you want to go and just kind of refresh and recharge a little bit. And you found yourself
Just sleeping through it.
sleep.
I I just slept through it. Yeah, I had my first panic attack was in the hospital when they were unplugging Landon from all of the machines that I knew was keeping him alive. Even though he was awake, which was great, 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 I also knew, I finally understood what all those numbers meant, what all the machines were for. And so as they were unplugging him to transport him to a different floor, is when I just kind of went in the corner and had my first panic attack. And so
And
I
that's
had,
frightening. Your heart starts racing
mhm,
so fast.
mhm.
I
You think
think
you're having a heart attack.
like
Mhm.
you're having a heart attack.
Yes.
I've had a couple of those.
Mhm,
And of course, it's fear-based, these
mhm. Yes.
fear that you can't seem to get a grip. It's like, oh my gosh, what if and you go down the what if land.
Oh, yes.
um,
That's, yes, you go down there a lot.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so yeah, no, and I remember thinking, I don't know if it's normal that my heart should be racing this
Right.
fast. Like, I feel like it's a little too much, like it's just gonna.
Right. Yes.
But you had a lot of those. You went through
Mhm.
a lot of that. But not, it's not even like, okay, it's not like you just lost your husband. Honey, your son is going through this enormous thing. You physically are going through this enormous challenge. And your life has been completely flipped upside down. you know I saw in here too the challenges of having to change schools. People, ah, and sometimes what people say, very cruel. They just shouldn't speak. you know
Yeah.
um
Children and adults.
it's
It's
not,
not just the kids.
no, it's true.
Mhm.
I actually, that's funny because I remember when you were reading part of my book, you said to me, "Oh, I'm so glad you put that in there, Sue." It was something about Sister Sandpaper, like, stop talking, like you're rubbing
Yes.
me the wrong way.
Yeah.
sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, my mercy. So, but okay, so I have on here one little note. Let me see. On page 138. I just want to read this. During all this, I know I need God's strength to get me through each day. His plans are not mine, and I can honestly say I don't like his. I don't even pray for strength. I believe he exists. I'm not saying there's no God. I'm just mad at the one I trusted. I fight this war in my head alone.
Mhm.
Honey, thank you for being so brutally honest. You know, this is the truth. It's like, God, I trusted you. I'm living for you. I live my life for you. I'm this, I'm that. And yet, you still have this war going on, you
Mhm.
know? And I find too, and I like what you said in there about you decided on an anniversary or the birthday or Father's Day or something, instead of focusing on that thing that happened, okay, let's flip this kitty around here a little bit and let's do something for someone else.
Mhm.
And you felt that sharing, brought comfort. And I love this picture.
Yeah.
Oh, now he was his coach. Is this what this picture
He
is?
was his coach. Yeah, Landon was very athletic, baseball and football, and he anything with the ball. He was a natural, and his dad was his coach.
That's adorable. My gosh. I wondered, yeah, I wondered about that too, like the whole heaven thing. Maybe they threw a ball and he'll remember it later.
They would have both enjoyed that, but it didn't happen that trip.
No. You made me laugh on some parts because you said, you hate the whole outside yard work. Yeah, honey,
Yeah.
I'm totally with you.
Yes.
My gosh, I can't stand yard work at all. I find it like overwhelming. There's so much of it out there. If my house was that big, I'd be a wreck. That's a lot to clean.
Well,
You know,
when you're grieving, everything is hard. I mean, just to get up and go to the
everything's
mailbox
complicated.
some days is hard. And so I was working full time and, getting Landon extra counseling for school and his doctor's appointments. And, it was just not to mention just the grieving process. And it was just like, it's just too much.
Honey. And you have to work because, okay, you've got these ridiculous bills coming in.
Yes. I,
Mount,
I had to have insurance. Yes, it wasn't an option.
you have to.
Mhm.
What are you going to do? Like, you have to do it.
Right. And it was worth it to make sure he could have the care that he needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And, thinking back about, doing something for someone else, and that really does help with the process.
It does. Mhm.
I remember we made up when I had a little widows group at the beginning. I had made up these little cards, and it was um, just ARK, like ARK, an act of random kindness. And
Mhm.
this card is given to you in memory of this loved one, whatever the
Mhm.
loved one is. So whatever it was, if you bought someone a cup of coffee, or whatever, you gave them this card. And it was a gesture just to say, hey, this person is someone I love and I'm doing it in their memory. Well,
Mhm.
all I had on there was my email on the card. So I was in Dunkin' Donuts line and I just felt impressed by the Lord to buy this woman's coffee that was behind me. Okay. And I said, could you give this to the lady who has this coffee? About, I don't know, hour and a half or so later, the lady emails me and says, oh my gosh. She said, thank you so much. She said, you know what? I'm a widow. And
Oh, wow.
yeah. And so she went into her whole story and the whole thing. And I was like, God, only you know who
Right.
the widow,
Right.
only
Yeah.
you know who needs that touch today, that comfort today. And so I thought that was just, when you wrote that, I thought, oh my gosh, this is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But You described your losses as being kind of like an onion.
Yeah.
You know?
Stinks just as bad as an onion.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it when you guys roll down the windows and screamed your heads off out the windows. That was awesome.
Yes.
I said, you know what? You need to do that. You need to vent out this,
Got to get it out.
get it out, get rid
Get
of
it
it.
out. Yeah.
Just yell. Go to the beach, yell. Go to the mountains, yell.
Wherever, roll your car window down, but
Go to the basement, whatever. Get it
wherever you can. Yeah.
scream it out.
Yeah.
So
But it is like an onion, just layers, because like you lose your husband, you lose your best friend, and then some friends, and then a church family. And it's just so many layers of losses that your identity, and there's just so many things that come along with it.
and you're questioning the entire time, God, what is happening?
Mhm.
Why do I have to go through all of these things? Loss after loss after loss.
Mhm.
But God is so good because he knows, I know you said, how much we can handle. God knows how much we can handle. We don't think we can, honestly. We do not think we can handle what we go through.
Right.
But God's like, I know how strong you are. I know how strong you are. And I know what's going to come from this. So now Landon is in now through your story at this point, he's in school now. He's going to graduate. He gets to this point where he is graduating.
He made it. Yes. It's a hard journey. Yes.
Look at this, you guys.
Yes. That's a happy day.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. We
He
had to,
have been over the moon.
it was a lot of work. He had, we did have to change schools, and he had some great teachers, some great counselors. And there, I did have the option because he was a TBI, traumatic brain injured student, where you can get a certificate. And for those that get a certificate, that's awesome. That's great. But I pushed Landon to, get his diploma. And so he had to work hard for every single grade. And it wasn't easy. We had to learn a lot of different learning techniques, as you were saying, how everything's rewired. And so it was a happy day. He graduated and he got a 2-year scholarship.
Oh,
So
good.
yes.
This is just wonderful.
Yeah, a full ride. So it was amazing.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, God is good. And it's interesting because I remember talking to you about this next stage of your life, your son's okay. He's made it. He has his own testimony in all of this, which we're going to share. But and so now your life is changing.
Mhm.
And what's happening in your life?
Yes, I met someone, actually knew him. We worked together, just co-workers. And so I did, remarry later. Yeah.
Talked about this before,
Yeah.
and I remember saying, how did you remember? I can't even believe. But now that I am remarried,
Yeah.
it's so funny. Another thing that we have, and I said, oh my goodness, I, I'm flabbergasted, at how good God is, and how we're so suited for one another. You
Mhm.
wouldn't think it, but it's so true. We just are so suited for one another. And so is your hubby, and his name is?
His name is Greg. Yeah.
Greg.
That was our first date.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a
And so
happy.
like I kept telling him, because he had never been married before when we got together.
Whoa.
And I just kept telling him, you need to go find somebody normal. All this is not normal. And so I kept giving him, an easy out, but he didn't take it.
No, sweetheart. And
Yeah, that is at the wedding. Uh,
this is your wedding day?
this is our wedding day. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful is that? It looks a little fuzzy on there, but so beautiful. Oh my gosh. That must have been, I've read, I don't know if you ever read this book, My Time in Heaven by Richard Sigmund.
I don't think I have.
Amazing. You want to talk? He also died in a car accident, but he was dead for like 8 hours or something. And the Lord,
Wow.
he went and had this ridiculous experience in heaven. But the Lord brings him back. He wakes up in the morgue. It's
Wow.
insane.
Wow.
But he talks about, and I've heard others talk about this, that there's the cloud of witnesses, just like a balcony, and there's steps leading up to the balcony, and they look over. And for weddings and births and happy events, the Lord allows people to join in and root people on that they have been, was their family or whatever. And I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, is Daryl looking down, on my wedding day? Are you kidding me? How would you feel? I don't know, or like you wouldn't want sadness on that too, but in heaven, there's no such thing, it's this
I know.
joy for us, that God is moving our life one step further along,
Yeah, right.
know,
I
one step.
had a survivor's guilt along with my PTSD and other things. And so I can totally relate to that with the survivor's guilt. I felt guilty that I could be happy again. And I did struggle with that. It wasn't like it came easily, but, I put myself in the other, situation. And like when you do love somebody so much, you do want them to be happy again. And so if I had died and, Andy had lived, I would want him to be happy.
I felt the same way. I'm like, Daryl Burrows, don't you dare not live. I wouldn't want you to not live because I'm not here.
Right, right. Yeah,
And I would want that for him.
yes,
Um, and so, yeah, that's all, just part of the whole, like, what our brains.
yeah.
um, and the other, like, you know, I find interesting too is how God takes what we think can never be repaired, this sadness, these sorrows that we have. And I love how you put it, sharing our story for his glory. And that's exactly what is going on with both of our stories. God uses them to share his goodness in all of this. And so I want to share this. Dr. Oz, right? They did a
Mhm,
segment on that, and 700 Club, and
mhm.
that's the
And
doctor.
that's the plastic surgeon that rebuilt his face.
My gosh.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so you would never think, I don't think, Julie, that a book would come from all of this, right?
No, no, no.
Uh, and I am flabbergasted as well that how God is using, our story and continues to use our story, and that our lives continue to go on. I know since my Daryl passed away. So Stephanie was 5 months pregnant. My daughter was 5 months pregnant with our first grandbaby. And now we have another grandbaby.
Yay.
Oh, she's
Double
gonna,
blessing.
I know she's getting just big and big and big. Like I can't. She's 3.
Uh,
And I'll tell you, it's amazing. But you also had a little blessing.
I did. I did. I had another son, and yeah, and so I know, yeah, and it's just amazing. It blows everyone's mind how much the two boys look so much alike. They look more alike than, it's like you put their baby pictures together and
Like, are you
apart. Not even my parents. Yes, they look so much alike.
Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
And so I don't think, is there a picture of Parker in this one? His name's
Um,
Parker.
There, it is Parker. Yeah, I think it's at the back, maybe. We're all wearing light blue.
Light blue. I was looking for that, but well, I can't find it real quick.
That's
But
all right.
anyway, so Landon today. Now, how old is Landon today? This is 2021.
Yes, Landon is, I gotta do my math here. 30. You're gonna make me tell. You're gonna age me, Sue. He's 32.
32. Oh my
32.
God. So
Yes.
this, okay, you guys, this is how this is what God does, okay? You think, no, you're gonna just croak and all of it, you're never gonna blah 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 blah. No, girls, listen. God has a beautiful plan. Let him do it, okay? Don't fight. Like we've talked about that, Julie. We've said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I don't say no anymore. I'm just like, okay, maybe if I don't say no in bucket,
Right.
then that'll just go away.
Yes. You have to be careful with that when you say no, because I never was gonna write a book either.
No, oh, out of
Yeah,
here.
never, never.
No,
Yeah.
we both said the same thing. No way, Jose. I'm not gonna do
No.
we talked about I'm not going on TV. You've been on TV, I've been on TV. I'm not gonna get on a
No.
what are you out of your mind?
No. Make me have another panic attack.
Right on the thing. Ah, my gosh, I don't want to do it. But
Yeah.
here's Landon. How adorable. Now he's written his own story.
Mhm.
Stop it, Highway to Heaven.
Yes.
Oh, and
Yes.
look, there's a picture of Landon now. Look at and you.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
adorable. And so this is for children, and he goes through the story about his dad, and oh my gosh, I'm also going to have. Oh, I loved it too, like the angels singing. He saw angels in heaven singing.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he said they were very active,
Yes. Yeah.
like Whoopi Goldberg.
That's what he compared it to, because that's the only time he had ever seen people dancing and stuff in church at his age, and so that was his association, was remembering when he saw that movie, making that connection.
And then you know what else is funny? And another little thread between us. You said Landon has a fake front tooth because of the baseball.
Yes, he knocked it out playing basketball on the
Yeah,
gym floor. Yes. Mhm.
so does my son. I said, are you kidding? What's
I
with the
know.
front teeth? I, I don't
I know. It's the craziest things. Boys.
know, boys.
Yes.
And and something that you said that I don't know if it was a personality change or if this was just him anyway, but you said that Landon truly he just likes everybody.
He does. He never meets a stranger. He knows everybody everywhere. It's like, he always calls me. He's like, guess who I saw? And it's like, I have no idea. So he is, he's just so sociable. And they had told me, because of where, he had the brain injury, that he was going to be very shy, that he would be withdrawn, that he would have social issues. And so they had prepared me for a very introverted child.
Hmm.
But no, but he is bold, and he's so
He's spunky.
yeah,
So
he's just,
he's spunky because he did not want to go in that wheelchair. You
he
wrote
did
it.
not want to go in the
As
wheelchair.
a kid, he's determined. No way, Jose. I'm gonna walk. I'm not going in the wheelchair.
He refused. He was so mad that
That's
we put him
awesome.
in there. Yes.
I like that.
And so,
That's this little seed of this fight in him, that
yes.
God gave him. Man, he gave him a strong will, and you have to have that to come through what he's come through, you know?
You do, yeah, you really do. Not only, even though Landon, missed his dad, still misses his dad, always will miss his dad.
Oh,
He's told us so many times, like, he would never change that because he knows he's in heaven. And so as much as he misses him, he wouldn't change it because he saw him in heaven. And so he grieved differently, um, you know, because he was celebrating, he was happy, he missed him, but he was happy. And
I saw one time a funeral. I went to a funeral of this guy was actually killed in a car accident. Um, and his family at the funeral home, it was almost like a party. But
celebration.
this seems awfully disrespectful. Like, I
Uh-huh.
couldn't understand. Like, I don't understand. And they were like hooting and hollering and all this. And I'm like, didn't you even love this guy?
I
Like,
know.
what? You know, but I mean, I get it. You know, there's
Right, right.
because they know he's with Jesus, he's in heaven, you know,
Yeah.
amazing, amazing, amazing. And so, come here, honey, say hi. My Bruce just walked in. Oh, I wish Landon was there. I would tell him, get on this computer.
Oh, he's not here.
He's
We'll
not
catch
there.
him another time.
Say hi, babe.
Hi, babe.
There you are.
Hello.
Hi, how are
It's
you?
Julia.
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for speaking with Susie out to our beloved audience.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Well, thank y'all for all you're doing and helping others. And
praise
it's
God.
amazing.
Our stories, we were laughing because we were just like so many things that are so similar, yet so very different, but a lot of similar things.
Oh my gosh, when she read your book, that's all she talked about. I said that. I said that. Yeah.
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 I was like, because we've been chatting here and there, but you know, I thought, you know, you're a grief facilitator now. Like you help what do you find? Mostly women or men or
Yeah, I'm not doing it right now, but I did do it for like 13 years,
Oh.
helping folks. And it was both. It was women and men, it was not just losing a spouse. It could be, a child or mom or dad or a brother, all different losses,
Wow. Yeah.
each loss is different, but you still have to go through grief. And I did such a good job, I thought, which is really a bad job, of not dealing with my grief and burying it. And, like I used Landon, I would hide behind Landon's needs and not take care of myself. And so I never was able, I just carried that dark cloud with me until I went through, the grief share program. And I just didn't want anyone to have to carry it longer than they have to.
You know, and that is just the truth. I say that too, honey. Like if we can, the faster we can get people out of this dark place,
Yes.
the better. In Jesus' name,
And that's the only way you can. And because, like, when you're at your lowest and grief is low, that's when the enemy gets busy and just feeding you lies. And, he wants to destroy you and you're weak. And in my case, I was questioning God. And, it's just, you just have to grieve in ways that will lift you up instead of tearing you down. A lot of people turn to, alcohol or to drugs or just unhealthy, just they're so miserable and don't know how to get better.
I know that you described your grief like it was a tornado, you know, and I remember describing my grief as like it was a tsunami. I
Yeah.
thought this is hilarious. We're both using weather events to describe
Yes.
our grief, but it
Yes.
feels like that sort of, wiping away of everything we knew, But
Yes.
just on the end note here, my friend, is I thought, wow, praise God that you met with at the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
So nice to meet you, though.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
It was one of those things that I know came from God because it was not from me. I kept, feeling like I was supposed to reach out to the ambulance driver. And I was arguing with God. It's like, no, don't make me do that. I did so good. I didn't, you know, fill my heart up with hate towards him. I didn't, I had lawyers coming after me to, for lawsuits. And,
Oh,
it's like I thought I had done so good. And it's like, God, please don't make me do that, And not only that, I felt like I would be betraying my husband if I reached out to the ambulance driver. And so I did reach out to my husband, and I was tormented. It wasn't an easy decision and it wasn't an overnight decision. But through a friend, I did reach out to him and to meet him. And And I had found, after I remarried and I moved and everything, I had found a letter that Andy had written, and it was just, right before he passed. He was a shy person, and kind of like Daryl, didn't say a whole lot, but he was wanting to be a witness. And so he was taking a course called Evangelism Explosion. And so in that class, he had done some homework, and he had written, what he thought, he knew if he died that he was going to go to heaven. And, so he just had handwritten it, in pencil. And so I made a copy of that, and I wanted to give it to the ambulance driver so that he would know that Andy knew he was going to heaven. And the whole time we were meeting with him, he just kept staring at Landon. And he finally apologized because, he kept staring at him. But he
You were
said
staring at Landon the
he
whole
was staring at Landon the whole time. Landon did come and meet with us. He brought his wife, and I brought Greg, my husband. And
Woo.
and he said that for 16 years he had nightmares, and that he saw that 8-year-old little boy that they pulled out of the trunk. And when Landon had died, he died with his eyes open. And he said for 16 years he had nightmares. And he said, I just hope tomorrow when I wake up that this is the face that I'll see. And so all those years that I thought I had done well, not casting blame, he was questioning God, himself, because he was trained to save lives and not take lives. And, so he was on a different kind of journey. And, there was tears all around, and Landon was the first one to give him a hug. And so we had to forgive him. And even though I didn't know why God wanted me to do that, and I didn't want to do it, it wasn't about me.
Forgiveness, honey.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's honestly so hard to understand, but when you give it, like God does for us, he forgives us.
Yes.
So we've got to forgive, and there's such a release and just this amazing transfer that happens when you let go of this thing that you think you're not holding.
Right.
You
Right.
finally let it go. It's like,
Yes.
oh, thank you, God. It's weight off of you. It's just weight
But you
off.
don't even know you're carrying
You don't
sometimes.
even realize. You just
It's
shift it.
buried so deep. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, sweetie, thank you so much for
Yes. Well, thank
joining
you.
on Littles Wednesday. And I know, no, that you have blessed some hearts today, sweetie, with your
Oh.
wonderful story. And I know God's not done with you guys. Who knows what other books you might be writing? I don't know.
Never say never.
Never say never.
Never say never.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to put all the information that I can on there, on the drop down. So thanks again, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Sue. Bye-bye.